Hey, everybody. Welcome to Tuesday Tips to Unleash Your Amazing. Today's special guest is Kelitha Anderson. And did I say your name right?
Yes, you did.
Yay! 2 points for me today. Kelitha is a dietitian and life coach, and I met her through the Epic networking group and was just fascinated by her mission and how she is helping people to live a renewed life. Welcome, Kelitha.
Hi, thank you so much for having me, Tammy. It's a pleasure to be amongst you and all of the amazing Unleash Your Amazing guests.
Well, we appreciate that you coming here to share some tips with us today. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your mission?
Okay, so I am Kelitha Anderson, a registered dietitian, certified life coach, and owner of Renewed Life Nutrition. And I guess I can go into about my nutrition story and why I chose to jump into the nutrition world. So, we all have that person who we just kind of like look up to, right? And they just, no matter what, they just know the answer to everything. You can just go and sit down with them and just spill out all your problems, and they just always seem to have the solution, right? So that person to me was my grandmother. But it was just one thing that she just didn't have the advice for, and that was nutrition. So it's like seeing that person, and it's just like, man, that's that one thing that you just couldn't really control. And growing up, being in my teenage years and seeing that, I'm like, you know what? That's what I want to be when I grow up. I want to be a dietitian nutritionist, to be that nutrition coach, that nutritionist, that registered dietitian for that person that's in someone else's life, to almost kind of like fulfill that void that I had in my life. And I wish that that person could be in my grandmother's life. So I'm just kind of filling that void. And
Nice.
yeah. So
Well, my grandmother made the best homemade biscuits and gravy. That's probably not on the good nutrition list, but let me tell you, she made it with like bacon grease. It was literally to die for.
let me tell you a secret. My grandmother made the most amazing biscuits as well. And we have like this running joke, right? So whenever we could always tell when she put her love into it, because she would start humming and
Oh,
stirring it. And it's like, oh yeah, she's getting into it now. This is going to be amazing. But nutrition is all about enjoying food and experiencing food. It's not a this or that thing. It's about really just savoring those flavors, and just my approach to nutrition is just about really just unleashing, if you will, all those restrictions
mm.
and really experiencing food. How does it taste? How does it feel in your mouth? What feelings does it bring? Who are you surrounded by when you have this meal together? And is it a delightful experience? And if it wasn't, what went on before then? Because maybe it's not the food, maybe it's something that happened before then, and we're associating it with that food. So just being more aware of your eating experience, so that way we release those fears, we release those restrictions, and really just allow food to be just that, food for us, and providing fuel, but also hopefully an amazing experience, and really just giving ourselves the green light to have that amazing experience that's associated with food.
Yeah, it's really important to actually savor the food, because when you do, you slow down and you eat less.
Absolutely, 100%. Just really being aware and just really taking time with the food. And I like to think about, especially when I'm dining out, okay, what happened to get this enjoyable meal in front of me? How did the farmers, take care of that seed to germinate this vegetable to get it onto my plate? How did the chefs go and really just transform this certain, fruit, vegetable, protein product, whatever the case may be that I ordered? How did they take their time? How did they take their creative skills to create this masterpiece that I'm enjoying? And then as I'm taking my bites, and those that are surrounded by me, the conversation that's going on, the music, the ambiance, and just really just making it an entire experience, hearing the plates clink and all of that, just being mindful of it. That's what makes eating an experience, and taking the fight out of food, because we really shouldn't be fighting. Food is here to help us, not to harm us, you know?
Yeah, food is fuel.
Food is fuel.
What is your first tip for us today?
Okay, so with fueling your renewed life, right? First things first is that you want to show up for your renewed life. So, what do I mean by that? Addressing your readiness and your willingness to change. And why did you get to this point? Are you fed up? You know, is this something that's a roadblock and you're just like, you know what? I don't want to come to this anymore. I want food freedom. I don't want to feel restricted anymore. And then also, this is the hard part, because sometimes we like to shy away from this, but if we want to live that renewed life, we have to address the fear that's behind it. What's that monster behind it? And just giving yourself to the power to overcome it by taking those baby steps, not just focusing on that huge mountain that's in front of you, but how can I, chip at it one at a time, to get these roadblocks down, to chip away at that mountain, so that way I can get over to the other side, so that way this is not something that trips me up anymore. So just being aware and showing up as your best self, and being aware that, you know what, it is possible for me to have that renewed life. Now, how do I get there? How do I show up there? How do I show up not just each day, but sometimes moment to moment? Sometimes it's meal to meal for some people. And just really just saying, you know what? Okay, I hear this negative voice in my head, but I don't have to listen to it. That doesn't have to be the final say. I don't have to accept what it is that you're saying to me. And no, I will choose opposite and move forward. That's the empowering part behind it.
Nice. So that like goes right into your second tip of mindset.
Yeah.
And I find that, whenever that voice in your head is telling you to do one thing, you have to be aware of it. So your self-awareness with the mindset. And then you also need to be able to regulate your emotions to stay strong on the goal that you've set for yourself.
Absolutely. And like we were talking about earlier, sometimes it's moment to moment. Sometimes someone says something that may be triggering, but taking that fraction of a second, because it happens just that quick, to be aware, like, oh, this is that trigger word. So I've got to make that choice. Either I go left or I go right. And which direction is that going to lead me down? And is that going to lead me in the direction that I want to go? You know? So something that helps me out in regards to mastering my mindset is using technology. We've all had to shift, right? But technology can be our friend, right? So using that as an asset versus looking at technology as a liability, by creating that YouTube playlist with my powerhouses, the Lisa Nichols, the Jim Rohns, the Terry Savelle Foys, the whomever, those motivational speakers that, I just gravitate towards, and really making a playlist, or tuning into a podcast, so that way all I have to do is, if I'm feeling some type of way, is just press play. Okay, because faith comes by hearing, and I want to make sure that I'm hearing positive and good things, so that way it's feeding into my soul, so that way when a moment happens where I'm feeling triggered, okay, I remember that lesson that I heard on the car ride from Lisa Nichols, from Les Brown, whoever it was. When things go left, you don't have to go with it. You know, those little things that could just really change the trajectory of your day in a positive way, and just
Yeah.
being mindful of it, you know? So using those tools that we have really at the tip of our fingers to really keeping us on track, not just with food and nutrition, but in life in general. Because to me, your nutrition begins before what's served on your plate. It begins with your mindset. So we have to deal with that first before we deal with what's being served to us on a plate, what's being put on our plate, and what we're consuming into our body. And sometimes we have to revert and take a step back and say, oh, okay, hold on, let me take a step back. Let me analyze here what's going on before I move forward.
Yeah, I find that whenever something happens and I feel triggered, that I need to get that out of my head so it quits spinning around. So I recommend journaling when something triggers you, and then finding a reason to be grateful,
Oh,
um,
yeah.
instead of, keep fueling the own fire inside me when I get frustrated and, just basically brain dump everything into my journal. And then, I'm grateful for this situation. And maybe the gratitude doesn't come always in the moment. That could be something that comes later. But if the quicker you can go from triggered to grateful, the more
Yes.
powerful your life is going to be.
100%. And I think that's so powerful, journaling, because it gets it out of you. You don't sit
Mm-hmm.
there and you stew on it and dwell on it, because the longer you sit and stew and dwell on it, the longer it has a hold on you, and the longer you stay stagnated in that situation. Um, Something someone told me a while back, and it was like the perfect day for it, right? I was having a not so perfect day, right? And I was feeling, super upset. And I'm like, oh my God, let me go and have a cup of coffee. And the owner of the shop, right? And I'm, sharing, expressing the day that what happened. And he's like, you know what? I'm going to give you a tip, and it's called front loading. So feel what you're feeling now, process it now, get it all out of the way, and let it go.
Mm-hmm.
Because the longer you dwell on it, the longer you meditate on it, the longer you stay there, and it's not going to serve you. Feel the feelings, they're real, honor them, but just know that they don't have to remain there. You don't have to succumb to those feelings. And then
Yeah.
take the lesson from those feelings and move on. So when that does happen again, okay, I see you, I recognize you, I know how to move forward now. I don't have to stay and remain there.
Yeah, I think that that's really, really powerful. Being able to move yourself through those different emotions is super key to staying on track with, lots of things in life for sure. What
Absolutely.
about tip number 3?
Okay, so after we showed up, we've mastered our mindset. And mastering your mindset is a continual thing. It's not just, oh, I made it now. It's
Like brushing your teeth, you got to do
it's
it
brushing
daily.
your teeth. You got to do it every day. So after we've done those two things, now, especially in our health and wellness journey, it's creating a personal and powerful why.
Mm.
Why is it that you want to do the things that you do? Why is it that you set this goal up? And it's not just for roses, right? For those good moments, but it's for those tough moments where you just feel like you just can't go on anymore. And you just take this sticky pad here and you write down your personal and powerful why. You stick it on the refrigerator, you stick it on in front of your mirror, whatever the case may be. So whenever those negative thoughts come up, whenever those naysayers come and tell you why you can't do, you pull it out. This is why I deserve my health and wellness right here. And you use this back as your navigating point of this is why I chose to go down this route. That's why it's so personal. That's why it's so powerful, because it connects to you. It's your anchor that keeps you centered. It keeps you moving forward. So that way when the waters get rough and rocky, you know which way you need to go. And
Mm.
and it's almost like a memory jogger, if you will. That's why I got on this journey to begin with. So, whatever the case may be, if you're a parent or not, I choose health and wellness for me so that way I can live a fulfilled life. So that way I can be that executive and fulfill this role. That way I can continue to coach like we coach. So I can
Mhm.
show up as my best self for my clients. So that way I can be the connector to get them on in their journey. So imagine if we didn't show up as our best self and we have our clients coming in at 9 o'clock in the morning and we didn't navigate properly. Now that starts that chain reaction and we may be hindering someone else on their journey. So that's why we have to do that self-care with ourselves, so that way we build ourselves up, so that way we can help build others up as well. So making it personal, making it powerful, so that way it could be your navigator to get you from point A to point B. So that way, whenever those negative thoughts, those negative emotions, those naysayers, when they come up and they tell you contrary, no, this is my guiding light and this is why I'm moving forward.
I love that. If you're watching this in the replay or currently, if you could just share with us, what is your why? Do you have a personal why for your own life, health, career? And share something with us in the comments and let us know. Okay, so what about tip number 4?
Okay, so after we've done that, you've got to set yourself up for success, right? Those that plan to fail, or what does the saying go? Those that fail to plan to fail, right? So you have
Mm-hmm.
to set yourself up for success. You have that end goal in mind. How are you going to get there? And break it down into bite-sized pieces. So that way, okay, from a year from now, I want to be here. Okay, so what does that look like? So from quarter to quarter, every 3 months, right? I'm going to take this actionable step. Okay, break it down a little further. Each month, I'm going to do these actionable steps to get me to that end result. Break it down a little further. Each week, what habits am I going to do to get me to that goal, so that way I know I'm on track. Okay, what can I do today that will get me from point A to point B and get me closer to that desired end result, right? So, in regards to nutrition, okay, so you want to live a healthier lifestyle, you want to eat more whole foods, you want to kick maybe the soda habit, whatever, right? So, do you have a water bottle nearby you? Or do you have that undesirable result nearby you? So making those changes, right? So that way you're leading yourself up to success. So a lot of times we have that downfall to where we create these abstract goals, but we don't get specific enough, right? So make it smart, make it obtainable, right? Make it measurable, so that way you're staying on track by when you're hitting these particular markers and milestones. So just being mindful, being specific, make it time specific. At the end of the year, I want to regularly exercise. Okay, what does that look like? 3 times a week, I'm going to do A, B, or C, whatever the case might be. And
Mm-hmm.
so that way you stay on track. And whenever you're starting to waver, oh, I'm not doing this. Let me get back on track really quickly and move forward.
Yes, I think that that's really important. In fact, I'm actually facilitating a planning session on Monday to help people to walk through creating their, business, referrals, life, like put all their goals and then make it into an actionable plan. So pretty excited about that. What
Awesome.
about your next tip?
Okay, so now that we've set ourselves up for success, we're tracking our goals here, we're staying on track. Now it's time to talk about those sensible eats and treats. So look at all the work that we had to do before we discussed what's on the plate. You've got to get your mindset right. You've got to get your goals right. How are you going to get there? And then we talk about those sensible eats and treats. Now, what do I mean by sensible eats and treats? Okay, so I like to take the intuitive eating approach to eating. So, as we know, the holidays are coming up, right? And
Mhm.
we want to enjoy the holidays. So, with the principles of intuitive eating, it does that. It's allowing us to ditch that diet culture, right? Honor our hunger by going back intuitively and tapping back into our hunger cues, stopping when full. Can we have another bite? And giving ourselves grace enough to enjoy the foods that we, want to eat. And it's not a free for all, I'm just going to eat and do whatever I want. No, it's getting back to intuitive. So whenever we were toddlers, we knew when we were hungry, mom, feed me now.
Yeah.
And okay, you know what? I've had enough. I'm ready to go and play. So tapping back into those fullness cues and eating when you're actually hungry and not to satisfy boredom or
Mhm.
to suppress certain emotions, and just really being aware of what's triggering that particular thing that's going on in the moment and addressing it appropriately and not just masking it up with emotional eating. Now that takes time, right? So learning and walking clients through the intuitive eating principles to first get rid of that diet, none or all approach, and really going back to the basics of really eating when hungry, stopping when full, giving
Mhm.
yourself grace around the dinner table, and actually enjoying the foods that you eat, giving grace to nutrition, getting good nutrition in, and then also enjoying good eats too. If you want to have a cookie, but don't have the entire bag, because you're now incorporating gentle nutrition in, and you're like, okay, I'm going to have my sensible eats with balanced eating. Now for dessert, I'm going to have that little cookie and I'm not going to feel guilty about it. I've had my
Yeah.
cookie. Now I'm moving forward to the other things that I need to do and giving yourself grace along the way.
I think that you said a lot of really great stuff there that's really important. One of the things that I was really conscious about when my kids were little was to respect when they would say that they were done and not be like, okay, just one more bite, one more bite.
Mm-hmm.
As like I think that when I was a kid that it was like that. Oh, you're not done yet, but if your body says that it's done, you need to stop. Otherwise, that's when the extra weight or the extra calories come on, is because you're eating more than your body needs. And then it gets used to eating more food. And it's this really bad cycle.
You hit the nail on the head there, Tammy. The nail on the head. And again, it's not about, this food fight, this, arms race of you're going to eat because, I'm in control, because I'm the parent, so on and so forth. Kids know, we know intuitively, but we along the way, right? Diet culture says this, messaging says that, and it comes in and says, oh, you can't eat this, you can't eat that, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that. And now we create this false world here that says, oh, okay, I really, want to have, whatever the case may be, but oh, it doesn't fit in my macros, or oh, it doesn't fit in this particular diet plan. That's rigid, that's restrictive, and it doesn't serve us, you
Well,
know?
and then that people have shame around it. So they do end up eating that cookie or doing that extra dessert, and then they beat themselves up, which throws them back in that mindset challenge to where it's this cycle of, all right, so I feel triggered. So
Yep,
let me go eat a cookie because that's bad.
yep.
And that is such an unhealthy way to look at what's fueling your body. If you're going to go ahead and eat it, just own it and do better in the next moment. But
Correct.
So,
Yeah.
all right. So
100%.
great stuff, girl. What is your next tip?
Okay, so now that we've learned the art of enjoying sensible eats and treats, then we now go into making movement count. Okay, so right now it's time to honor our bodies, right? And all of the physical things that our bodies can do. This machine called our human body can do some amazing things. And it's about time that we start honoring it and stop, looking at physical activity as a chore or something that you have to do because, oh, I ate too much around the Thanksgiving table. No, 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 no. Let's start walking because we want to enjoy the beautiful South Florida weather outside. We have great weather outside. Let's go outside and walk and have that time with a friend, whether that be, walking with them or, FaceTiming or whatever the case might be. Look at this, nice Florida weather that I have going on here and enjoying that experience while we're moving our bodies. If you were a dancer, back in the day, why don't incorporating that and using that as your playtime, right? Going to Zumba classes, getting it in, having fun, getting that endorphin therapy, as Elle Wood says from Legally Blonde, and just because they really do, they make you happy. Exercise makes
Yes.
it really does, and just taking that chore out of it and just using it as self-care, using it as fun because it really is a stress reliever, and if you consistently move your body, whether it be through aerobics, whether it be through resistance bands for resistance trainings, or whether it be stretching with certain activities such as Pilates, right? It does your body so well. So when it's time to rest, you actually do that. You rest. I've been told that I'm like a cute little truck driver because I rest so well.
Because you like the rest stops.
But I incorporate, that physical activity so that way when it's time to wind down, I'm not all over the place trying to wind down. No, I'm literally winding down and I can just drift off to sleep.
I like it. I actually enjoy a little evening exercise because it does tend to make me a little more tired. But I know that that doesn't work for everybody.
Yeah, sometimes that doesn't work for everybody, but just really almost getting into the mindset of physical activity or exercise as being something to honor your body or something to celebrate the way that your body is designed to move, and also thinking of it as a self-care tool,
Mhm.
as maintenance, because we all live, busy lives. We all have someone who is depending upon us, whether we are parents or not, but we want to be here to enjoy our loved ones longer. So, why don't we use those tools such as self care, good nutrition, moving more, and making that movement count to help us extend our life so that way we can attend more graduations, we can attend more wedding anniversaries, and attend, all these other events and just being around the dinner table with our loved ones as a
Yeah,
tool.
I love that. And so, what's your number 7 tip?
Okay, so after we've done all of that, and I've kind of hinted at it already, we've got to refresh, right? Because life is not perfect, right? And some days are better than others. So sometimes we have to go back and, okay, let me go back to that mindset here. Okay,
Mm.
well, you know what? Today was a little busy and I didn't get to my physical activity. So tomorrow I know what to do. Okay, schedule it in before I jump into the activities of the day and make sure I get in 30 minutes of just walking or whatever the case might be. Or, you know what? I didn't get as many, veggies that I wanted to get in last night. So instead of me beating up myself about it, okay, I'm going to have that extra helping of veggies today, so that way I move forward. It's always about moving forward and being in forward motion
Mm,
and recognizing, okay, if I miss the mark here, give yourself grace, move forward so that way you can go on to the next level. Because when we stay there, we stay stagnant, and it's almost like running on that hamster wheel, and that serves no one.
right, right. I love it. Yes. And I think that's with everything, whether it's you're looking at nutrition or you're looking at your goals, you're looking at where you want to be in your life, going back to the basics
Oh,
of everything and reflecting and then either tweaking or just continuing on depending on where we are is super helpful.
absolutely. And I find by doing that, by remaining flexible, by remaining open, it takes the pressure off, if you will. It doesn't it doesn't, you don't hold yourself to such, a high standard and put yourself on a pedestal to where if you missed a mark somewhere, it's not a make or break situation. It's okay, this is what happened. I own up to it. And now I see this as a lesson to move forward and giving yourself grace. It's all about giving yourself grace and moving forward. Truly. Truly.
Yes, life is about giving yourself grace and a lot of times giving others grace too.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And that's an art form, right?
That's an
Because
art form.
because sometimes we have so many expectations, and if you don't, meet those check marks, then I'm done. But that's no way to live life, because not everybody has the same experiences that you had, and not everybody can do the things that you do it. And who says the way that you do it is right? you know? Yeah. Maybe that doesn't work for that other person, but
Yes,
allowing that person to get from point A to point B, works so much better than just, drilling down on, you have to do it this way, you have to do it that way. Rigidity, and it doesn't work.
yeah, this is true. This
Hmm.
is true because everybody is unique and individual in themselves, and everybody, almost everybody, is needed. I didn't say that on live Facebook, LinkedIn. It might be true though. Mostly, most people are needed. Oh, anyway.
Too funny.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your brain work with us all. How would people get in touch with you?
Okay, well, thank you guys so much for having me. If you are ready to live your renewed life, you can either email me at bewell@renewedlifenutrition.com. You can get on my Calendly for a complimentary discovery session for us to just get to know one another. No pressure zone. We can get to know each other and fill each other out at calendly.com/renewed life nutrition and set up an appointment that way. And we take it from there. And I'm there every step of the way.
Awesome. Well, thank you. I hope that everybody has an amazing day, and we will see you next week for some more Tuesday tips.
Awesome. Have a happy Thanksgiving, everyone,
Happy
and
Thanksgiving.
be well.
Bye.
Bye.